All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, December 16th. We have a 10-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'll give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total, but all of my final plays, if you do want to fade me, those plays are going to be in the pinned comment. Last night, another fadeable night. More X's in the recap than there are green checkboxes. That's 3 days in a row now that we've gone negative. 2 days in a row that we've gone slightly negative, but we got sucker punched 3 nights ago, right? So, yeah, we've dropped some units in the last 3 days, but we're still kicking here. Still positive on the season, so shout out to the guppies that are telling me to quit because we suck at this. Guys, we'll keep going, all right? We could lose our next 1,000,000 bets. We're going to show up here and face the music. But a 1 and 2 night nonetheless. Hate to see it. The womp womp says it all. But let's change up the vibes here because we do have another ride of the day cashing for us. This is our 4th or 5th ride of the day in a row. Let me check really quick. That has cashed, but this one's coming in from Dylan here. He had Wemby over 12.5 rebounds. I believe he finished with 15. So let's go. Cha-ching. That's how we change up the vibes here. But shout out to Dylan for the ride of the day. That was also a plus 100 play, so it was no easy feat for Wemby to go out there and grab those 13 boards. But he did. In our ride of the days, the community is winning here as I'm having a rough little cold streak. Brr, right? The community is cashing. So shout out to you guys. But yeah, we had, let's see, scrolling back here, we started it off with Kobe White's ride of the day. Then we had Scotty Barnes. Then we went on to James Harden, and then last night. So we've cashed 4 ride of the days in a row, guys. Let's keep that going. If you guys do want to be the ride of the day and have a play that you're confident in, use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's comment and giving you guys a shout out in the next video, win or loss. We jump on board. I posted on my X at FGuyBoston prior to the games kicking off. But let's keep that win streak going. Now, before we do get into the video, guys, I do want to say we picked our winners for the giveaway that we did with Jordan from the final round. If you guys remember, a couple videos ago, I had you guys comment hashtag Jordan to enter. We tried to get some contact and emails from those comments, but YouTube removed a bunch of comments from that video because obviously links were looking like spam. So if I replied to your comment, please email me at GuyBostonVideo@gmail.com. GuyBostonVideo@gmail.com. We have a handful of the giveaway winners already that have reached out, but yeah, we need proof as well. So YouTube will email you when we respond to your comment, so you should be able to find that in your email, but make sure to reach out, GuyBostonVideo@gmail.com if you were selected to win the giveaway, so we can get you some Fade Me merch. So go ahead and check that out. Again, that's Jordan footing the bill for that too, so good guy over at Final Round. But let's go ahead and dive into the first game here. We got Milwaukee taking on Detroit, and I'd love to sit here and say, well, you know what, that 17-point spread is a little bit too much, but we did that yesterday with the Sixers, right? And then Sixers beat Detroit 124-92. So I can't sit here and be like, that's too many points anymore. Now it can still be considered too many points for me to lay or confidently bet, right? Like, I'm not going to be betting the spread here in this game because it is such a ridiculous number. But in terms of a lean, you got to look at Milwaukee, right? Like 2 wins in a row here. They beat Chicago, then they beat Indiana, Giannis, the game ball, all that drama. But, you know, they look like they're finding their stride. They've won 7 of their last 10 games here. They've covered in 3 of their last 5. 17 is just too much to kind of talk me into. But like I said, I can't lean towards Detroit. That team is just an absolute dumpster fire. A pick I could see being a final play in this spot, and it's gonna be kind of crazy, but I could consider the under 241.5. Now, not because of a Bucks perspective or anything like that. Like, this is obviously a Bucks team that can score 1,000,000 points. Like, they can maybe score 241 points themselves against this Detroit team. But realistically, I don't know if this Detroit team keeps up with them and from a scoring perspective. So we could see like Milwaukee honestly, you know, score what, 124 or something like that, right? And Detroit again scores 95 like they did against the Sixers. So I'm gonna lean towards the under 241.5. That's probably got the biggest of chances of being a final play. So keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if we ultimately end up rolling with that. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to be touching that 17-point spread, but that total seems like there's a little bit of opportunity there. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. All right, next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets here hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. We just talked about the Sixers. They had a huge win last night, 124-92. Again, in terms of them being on a back-to-back, I don't know if it's going to matter all that much. Not a single starter played over 30 minutes. Embiid did play 29, so he's getting up there, but he obviously did get some rest time after he dropped 35 points on the Pistons' heads here. Charlotte at home this season, 4-9, 7-16 straight up there, 10-13 team against the spread, but they've lost they've lost 7 of their last 10, 3 straight. I don't see them really competing with the Sixers here because, you talk about the back-to-back I said with the Sixers, right? Charlotte's also on a back-to-back. They covered last night against the Pelicans. We were on the wrong side of that one, of course, but they're also on a back-to-back, so I do think that sort of negates either team here having some sort of an edge. So I'll lean towards the Sixers minus 9.5 here. If this gets up to 10, I probably stay away, but I don't really see anyone on this team being able to stop either Maxey or Embiid. Like, from a guards perspective, this is a Charlotte team that should have their way, and then we know how bigs can play against guards, right? I'll also throw out there that we talked about it yesterday. This is a Charlotte team that is absolutely god-awful against the power forward position, so it may be something to look at from the Sixers side of things. Maybe that leans towards Embiid because he's going to have, obviously, a lot of that down-low presence, and Nicholas Batum, who's the power forward technically for the Sixers, kind of sits outside, but this could be a Tobias Harris and Embiid sort of player prop night here. But nonetheless, guys, I'm going to lean towards the Sixers minus the points. In terms of a total, 233.5, if the Sixers, if they're not tired and they feel well rested, which hopefully they should, I'm leaning towards the over here. Like, they've played teams with bad defenses here, about 5 games in a row, right? Washington, Atlanta, Washington again, and then 2 games against Detroit. What they're doing against teams that have, subpar defenses. 131, 125, 146, 129, 124. Now, Charlotte, I'm hoping, can at least get you to like 110, right? Because then we'd be looking at it over here. But yeah, nonetheless, I think the Sixers carry the weight here. And, cash this one, and we're looking at an over. Keep an eye on the pinned comment to see if that ultimately becomes a final play. All right, guys, before we get to the rest of the slate, I want to shout out Outlier, guys. We've been working with Outlier for so long, and there's a reason for that, because I still trust the product, trust the people running it, because this is literally the best sports betting research tool, one-stop shop in the entire industry, and I don't say that lightly. Like, I mean that. We'll jump into Outlier right now. By the way, you can get 7 days free with the link in the pinned comment, and then even after that 7 days, they literally are one of the most, price-worthy tools out there. $19.99 per month after that. You can profit with this thing and make that money back easy. But we're on the player prop screen right now. You can adjust the odds to something you're more comfortable with and go through and literally look at last 5, last 10, last 20. If you want to dive into someone like, for example, Mikal Bridges, 27.5 points plus assists, right? He's hit the under here in 80% of his last 10, so 8 of his last 10. We can dive in, see how he's been doing on the season, see how he did last year, see where the defense is, that he's playing Golden State against shooting guards, or, small forward, whatever we want to consider him, where they rank. Really, really, really cool tool, guys. And what's great is you can also compare odds here. Like, this is showing the best value, plus 100 on BetMGM. All the other books are in the minus odds here, so pretty good look, right? You can also click this and head right over to BetMGM on your phone or on your browser. They have tons of other features like the game and everything. You can do that for games. And then these are the pro tools, guys, the boosts, arbitrage, and middling bets, and their plus EV tool. So make sure to check that out as well. Those are additional costs. If you just want the game, the trends, and the props, that's the $20 per month. But go ahead and check out Outlier, guys. I literally use this thing every single day. It's a one-stop shop. Tassos uses it on the channel as well. Outlier, an amazing, amazing product. Go check it out. 7 days free with that link in the pinned comment. Now let's go ahead and get back to the slate here. We're looking at an interesting one. We got the Cavs taking on the Hawks. Now, the Hawks, the sole game we were able to cover in last night. I loved that spot. We only almost made it a 2-unit play, but I stupidly didn't. You know what? I deserve that too, because I was like, this is like taking candy from a baby, and we just made it a normal 1-unit play. So kind of missed out there. But in terms of this spot, I don't think it's as easy as a matchup for them at all. We saw this game 2 weeks ago or so, and Cleveland routed them 128-105. Now you could say that this is a Hawks team that is looking better after one win, but are they? Like, it's still a team that for all intents and purposes have been struggling. The one thing that I'll say though is this Cleveland team, if you guys have been on Twitter, on X, like this Cleveland team shopping players, they seem like they're in disarray as well. So this one easily could, go either way. In terms of the way that we're going to lean, I am going to look at Cleveland in this spot because 1, they're the home team. 2, we have Atlanta on a back-to-back. 3, sometimes in some ways I think when teams get all this bad rap and like all this publicity, somehow they use that to galvanize. So we'll see if that happens tonight. And Mobley's out, I believe Darius Garland's out as well, but you have tons of guys out for Atlanta as well. Hunter, Jalen Johnson's still out, so we'll see if this makes its way into a final play. But I guess what I'm saying is I kind of trust the Cavs at home, Donovan Mitchell to step up, and I don't really trust Atlanta right now, even though they were our favorite play on the board yesterday. It's still a team that, lost 5 straight before that. And on the road this year, you can't trust them actually at home either. I think they're 3-7 at home even there. So I'll lean towards Cavs. In terms of a total, right now it's sitting at 238. I have this pegged right around that 235 to 237 mark. I'm going to lean towards the over, though, because I don't think either one of these defenses is all that strong. You lose Mobley, Garland, 2 starters from that Cavs team. I think their defense has a little bit more of a lapse. We know the Hawks play 0 defense. And the Cavs, last time they played, scored, like I said, a boatload of points against Atlanta. So I'll lean towards the over here. It may be a slightly high number for me to make a final play, but we may leave it as a lean. Keep an eye on the pinned comment, like I've said 1,000 times in today's video. All right, Heat taking on the Bulls. The Bulls actually looking, fairly competent against the spread here. They've covered in 6 of their last 7 games. They've won 5 of their last 7, including a win over Miami a couple nights ago, in which we were on the wrong side of. But when I say a couple nights ago, anything in that sample size, what haven't we been on the wrong side of, right? But I think that this is a Miami spot. Now, I don't know if I have the cojones to pull the trigger. They've looked terrible without Bam Adebayo. Not trustworthy whatsoever. Definitely not trustworthy enough to put your own bread on. Like, it's tough looking at this Heat team and confidently backing them, right? But they I don't know. I don't want to make excuses for that Chicago game, but there were plenty of times when they looked like they could win that game, but they just weren't making shots or weren't executing, which has a lot to do with the fact that they're missing arguably their best player, right? So this is a tough one, but I am going to go ahead and lean towards Miami. We're going to need way more out of Jimmy Butler, though. We can't have a 35-minute night and 20 points from him, right? Like, he's going to have to go 25 plus if this team wants to have a chance here, because White, Vuk, and DeRozan looking pretty good right now. Caruso and Williams being like the perfect kind of complementary players to that. Like, this is a Bulls team that looks like they're a little bit more functional without Zach LaVine. So if we pull the trigger on this and it blows up in our face, it's probably the last time we ever even consider Miami without Bam Adebayo for quite some time here. But I'm still not sold that this Bulls team is good on the road. Again, I've been singing that song all year long, rhyming and didn't mean to, but this is a game that, we kind of looked into and obviously made a final play last time out, and again, it blew up in our face, but all the logic was there. So I don't want to, be like, oh, well, that blew up in our face last time. Technically speaking, this is a new game, right? So this is a bad Bulls team on the road, a Miami team that's decent at home. I would put it, not going too far, but they haven't been playing well. But give me Miami here, minus the 5. In terms of the total, 218. So it was a 124 to 116 game last time. And I think this one gets up and over again. If Chicago's offense, continues to kind of do what it's done, and they've scored 120 plus in 3 of their last 4 games. Like, you roll that back to a month ago when you're struggling to score 100 points, it's pretty damn impressive. Like I said, well-oiled machine right now. Miami also, not necessarily playing with fast pace, but they're not scoring, if that makes sense. Like, they're middle of the road in terms of field goal percentage right now. The number 1 3-point percentage team in the league this season, which is pretty crazy. So I do think that they could help get this up and over, and we get a game that's in the 220. So I'll lean towards the over here as well. All right, we have Minnesota hosting the Pacers here. A couple big injuries to monitor for this game if you are going to be betting on it. Anthony Edwards questionable in this game here, and then Tyrese Halliburton exited last game yesterday. I think it was a left or right, whatever, knee injury in the last game here. They ended up losing to Washington. They're on a back-to-back. I don't know if they play him. Minnesota's coming off a win a couple nights ago against Dallas. So this is kind of a toss-up here. I think that this is a Minnesota game. If they are healthy, healthy. I think this is a Minnesota game kind of all the way, just because you're looking at a Minnesota team that should be like the antithesis of what this Pacers team is, right? This Pacers team run and gun up and down the floor, but Minnesota is one of those better defenses in the entire league, right? Especially as the game gets later and later and later. They start slow, but lock up at the end of the game. So I think Minnesota pulls this one out, and I think the spread is telling us something. Like, this is a matchup between two teams that I'm not going to say on paper are similar, because they're not similar at all, but in terms of, I don't think that they're 8.5 points apart, right? Maybe you're putting a lot of weight into the fact that, you know, the Pacers are on a back-to-back, sure, but still 8.5 points is a lot, and Vegas comes out dropping that, right? So it's like, interesting. I've seen some books go up to 9 as well, meaning money and bet percentages coming in on the Pacers, and they're moving it up, or people, you know, not coming in on the Pacers. People are betting Minnesota and they're moving it up. So it's like interesting to see that line move, see what that line is. I think the books are telling us what they think is the likely outcome, which is this is all Minnesota all the way. So we're going to lean and follow that sort of movement there. In terms of a total 243, I'd like to say Minnesota clamps up. Like I said, they're the antithesis of this Pacers team, but again, I've said it so many times in videos, like it's almost like you could close your eyes and just lean or play overs when the Pacers are involved. Like, they're playing at such a high rate, both speed and efficiency wise, which is why they're scoring so many points, that it's kind of silly to look at an under, right? Like, even they let up 137 to Washington. I know Minnesota isn't this world-beating offense in terms of pace and everything like that, but you know, they're an efficient team. Like, they're shooting the second fewest in terms of frequency and quantity, right? Field goal attempts per game this season, they're ranked 29th. But they're a top 7 team in terms of field goal percentage, and they're just outside of the top half of the league in terms of points per game. So it's like, okay, you're not necessarily a fast team, but when you shoot, they're quality shots and you're making them. That kind of smells like an over to me. But again, keep an eye on the pinned comment. There's a lot of injuries, or 2 main injuries, that we want to monitor before placing anything in this game. All right, we got Golden State taking on Brooklyn here. This Golden State team didn't look all that great against the Clippers a couple nights ago. I kind of called that one, but we did make it a final play. Guys, if you realize, actually, you know what, we're going to say this. If you've watched it this far into the video, I want you to comment leans in the comments. We're not doing the number. If you made it this far, so 17 minutes into the video, comment leans, because the real ones know. It's like the leans and the information in the video have been pretty damn good. Like, if I was playing everything, which is psycho, playing everything that I talk about in the video, this cold streak that we're on for the last 3 days wouldn't be a cold streak. Like, we're actually hitting on those, but in terms of what we're selecting and more confident for final plays, which is absurd, that's where the cold streak has come in. So comment leans if you've made it this far into the video. That shows that you're a real one, part of the Fade Squad, not a damn guppy. But nonetheless, Golden State did not look all that great against the Clippers. Brooklyn, you know, probably had one of their poorer performances against Denver. So you have two teams that are looking for a bounce back spot here. But what I'll say is this Golden State team, I don't know if I can necessarily trust them. It sounds weird. I don't think I can trust them, and not necessarily just without Draymond, but sort of just like overall, like they've been hit or miss this season. This is a Golden State team that, yes, they like, you kind of blink and forget that they're a 10-13 team this season, right? They're 11th. They're not even a real playoff team right now, which is absolutely crazy. Whereas Brooklyn, 8th in the East, but they're 17-6-1 against the spread this year, leading the NBA in against the spread metrics. Like, this is a legit against the spread team, and you know, I said it in the last video, I was like, why did I say that? But we'll stick to the guns. I've been meat riding Brooklyn this season, but they've been super profitable for us, so I'm going to lean towards them again. I think that this is a team that probably matches up fairly well against Golden State, because they have the guard play, but then they also sort of have the length down low that I think Golden State can struggle with at times. So give me Brooklyn here, plus the points. Total sitting at 235. If Brooklyn wins this game, I do think it goes up and over, because I think that they capitalize on some of the defensive lapses that Golden State may have. So I'll lean slightly towards the over as well, but I think I like Brooklyn plus 3.5 more. All right, y'all. Okay, I was gonna say, all right, time to take another quick break from the action, but I dropped a y'all. I'm from Boston. What am I saying y'all for? But guys, taking another quick break from the action here, I want to talk to you about Sleeper and the giveaway that they have going on right now. Now, I always talk to you and push Sleeper anyways because I love the app. It's one of the most fun DFS pick'em apps out there, right? You combine 2 to 8 players in player prop slips. The more you get right, the more you get paid out. You can get your deposit matched with the link in the pinned comment, but they're doing something super cool, guys. A $1 million giveaway that they announce and give away on the, and it's also ranked. It's not just one person wins. It's 1 million to first place, yada, 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 right? And that's being announced on the 26th of December. What's really cool about that though, is to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is literally just place in, like, you have to go and make slips, right? Like you're doing already. Put 2 players in a player prop parlay over there and get a ticket into the giveaway. You can get 4 per day, and it's just a minimum of $5 slip. So you can literally spend 20 bucks a day from now until the 26th and have 4 chances each day going into this end pool for the 26th. So it's pretty cool that they're doing that. Obviously, you know, it's a long shot. I'm not telling you that either one of us are winning that $1 million, but it's a pretty cool giveaway that they're doing. They're giving away a bunch of money there. So go check out Sleeper, guys. If you're not on it and it's legal in your state, I say this genuinely, it's a really, really fun and cool app. They have so many props on the games and all the sports. So go check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. You get 7 days, excuse me, not 7 days free. You get 100% of your first deposit match. It's like, yeah, we'll let you bet 7 days free. But you know, deposit matched, it is free money. There's something free there. Go check it out, guys. Link in the pinned comment. I'm just rattled that I said y'all, so I don't know what you want from me at this point. But let's go ahead and get back to the slate. All right, we got Denver taking on the Thunder here. Denver, 5-point favorites at home. That seems like it's a little bit too much to give this OKC team, but I have a couple reasons why I guess I could understand it. This OKC team, right? They've been struggling a little bit. They lost last game against Sacramento. They've, you know, lost 2 of their last 4 games. Not that it's like that crazy, but this is a team that I think is underperforming right now. And they have a, you know, this is the last game on their road, their mini road trip, where they go back and play. I think it's 3 straight home games starting in 2 days. So maybe they kind of sleepwalk through this game just looking forward, looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. I don't think so. I think that they use this as an opportunity to kind of set the ship right. Like, this is a really good Denver team that we're playing second in the West. They're third in the West, I believe, only a couple games separating these two. Obviously, it's still really early in the year for, like, you know, records to matter. But nonetheless, I think that this is a spot where OKC wants to prove a little something. Aaron Gordon's questionable, Jamal Murray's questionable, and no KCP for Denver. So obviously huge injuries to note there. Keep an eye on that. But I'm going to lean towards Oklahoma City here. I think that, you know, if you want to bet them, you might want to get them early because you're getting them with Gordon and Murray questionable right now. If they get ruled out, this line probably goes to crap. So I like OKC plus the points. Another little note, and I actually like this for the OKC side of things, is that they got routed by Denver earlier in the year. I think it was October 30th, something late October. They got beat by nearly 30 points. So it's like, or even more than 30 points now come to think of it. So it's like, they may be a little fired up to be like, that was some BS. Let's go and get this team back, you know, and try and keep this game close. In terms of a spread, if the Thunder are going to keep this game close, I see a lot of points in this game. You have 2 offenses that shouldn't have any trouble scoring. The thing is, these defenses aren't all that bad, right? But again, I'm going to trust this to be an offensive game, especially if I think OKC is going to remain in the game. I think they're going to push the tempo and kind of get Denver to come out of their shell a little bit. So give me the over 236.5. But I'll say this, look at the totals today. Other than the Heat, right? Other than the Heat and the Bulls game, look at the totals on today's slate. Like, kind of crazy numbers. We've seen so many unders in the NFL, right? But this NBA season, man, like, we had what, the 260 total in the Bucks and the Pacers game the other night. Giannis drops 1 million points and it cashes. Like, what are we doing here? But again, it's kind of the trend. We got to adapt. We got to adopt. I'm leaning towards the over 236.5 right here. All right, Dallas coming off of a tough loss last night against Minnesota. They lose by 18 points. And this one's a little interesting to me. So this Portland team, really not a good home team. 2-7 this season, obviously. And, you know, they're just not good, right? But this spread's sitting at 5. These two teams, last time they played wasn't this year, but Dallas has owned Portland. They've won 7 of the last 10 matchups. Last time they played, actually they played a week ago, right? And Dallas beat them by, you know, 10 plus points. We were on the right side of that. So it's a little interesting to see where this game has come out being just a 5-point spread, because that game ended, I think it was double-digit spread, right? We cashed it, and Dallas is also still on the road there. So it's like, kind of head scratching as to why this line is where it is. Maybe they're factoring in that back-to-back for Dallas here. Kyrie Irving not playing in this game, but if we have Luka Doncic, like, I think that should be enough to beat Portland. So kind of smells like a trap, but I'll lean Dallas minus the 5 points in this one. The total sitting at 236. I gotta lean towards the under here just because, again, I don't necessarily trust anything on the Portland side of things. Now, they've been a fairly good against the spread team. 6 of their last 10 they have covered, but I don't know if I trust the offense, right? Like when they played Dallas a few nights ago, they scored 112. If Dallas beats them by 5, that's a 117 to 112 type of a game. We're not looking at a 236. So it's like, I'm kind of thinking this is a slight lean towards the under, but the more I think about it, it's like I could see this being a 225 type game total wise, which is well underneath that number. So keep an eye on the pinned comment. I think that, we could be falling for the Dallas trap, whatever. But that under could also make its way into being a final play. All right, next up, we have the Kings hosting the Jazz here. Kings 9.5-point favorites. And it makes sense why. They've won 3 of their last 4. They've covered in 3 of their last 4 and in 4 of their last 6. I do think that they're obviously the better team, but we have a big question mark on the injury report right now. De'Aaron Fox is a shoulder injury. He's questionable. I don't necessarily know if this is one where they kind of try and force him into playing. They are, in the middle of a nice home stand. It's not like they're looking forward to a game. They play Washington in 2 nights, so it's not like they would hold him out for any reason. But do they need him against Utah? Probably not. They're 9.5-point favorites, but if he plays, I think that this is a good spot. I think that the Kings can pull this one out by double digits. This Utah team, I've said it all along, terrible on the road, right? They're 2-11 this season on the road, whereas the Kings, honestly, a pretty damn good home team, 8-3 at home this year. Now, in terms of what we're looking at for a total, 241, it seems super high. I get it. I don't like it, though. I'm going to lean towards the under. I think the Kings win this game almost regardless of De'Aaron Fox. That spread will impact if De'Aaron Fox playing will impact that spread pick. But in terms of a total, I think I like this under all day long, to be completely honest, because this, again, how many times do I have to say it? I get it. Utah plays fast when you look at it from like a possession and a pace perspective, but they're one of the least efficient teams in the entire league. So, I think they're top half in terms of pace, right? But when you look at them from field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, anything like that, and you can, flip it over to looking at them on the road, this is a team that is the 3rd worst field goal percentage on the road, the 6th worst 3-point percentage team on the road. Like, they just are not a very good scoring team on the road. They score the 2nd fewest points on the road. So it's like they play fast. I get it, up and down the court, but they're missing shots, right? And then you go and look at what they got going on here. Markkanen, Collins, Clarkson, all questionable or out. It's like, okay, yeah, this team probably is going to struggle. So I'm going to lean towards the under here. Like I said, if De'Aaron Fox plays, I really don't mind laying the 9.5, but the under is probably my main lean in this game. Keep an eye on that pinned comment. I can't believe how many times I've said that, but we still get questions of like, where can I buy your picks? And I'm like, dude, I don't sell picks. Why? Because we'll have nights where we go 1-2 like yesterday, and I'm not having anyone pay for that hot garbage, right? It's all free. I'm just telling you what I'm playing for the day. Take it or leave it, but all the plays are in the pinned comment. All right, Clippers taking on the Knicks. Right now, Clippers 5.5-point favorites. The total is actually at a manageable total, right? 228. I think I saw it on 227.5 over on FanDuel, if I'm not mistaken. But make sure you guys are obviously shopping, getting the best lines. Paul George questionable here. Mitch Robinson out for the Knicks in terms of the injuries. But this is a Clippers team that's good at home, man. They are 10-3 this season at home. When they are at home, too, I trust them obviously a hell of a lot more than when they're on the road. They're not a very good road team, but that's not the case here today, right? This team, I think they're against the spread either 7-6 or 8-5 against the spread as well. So a positive against the spread team at home, but they're kicking, man. The Clippers have covered 4 of the last 5 games. They've won 6 straight games. They've won 8 of their last 10. And this is a New York team that I don't necessarily know where to peg them just yet. Like Brunson goes for 50 last night against Phoenix. Does he do it again? I don't necessarily think so. The Clippers have looked pretty good now. I think some of these wins, you know, like Golden State, I don't even give them all that much credit. They played Portland, they played Utah, but they also beat Denver. They beat, you know, Golden State again. They beat Sacramento in that sort of mix. So it's not like they haven't been tested in this win streak. So I'm going to lean towards them, man. I think -5.5 is a fair line. Do I wish it was a little bit lower? No kidding. But I'll lean towards the Clippers. I think that they're just playing well at home. You had James Harden, you know, had a phenomenal game last time out, 28, 15, and a 7. So yeah, I'll lean in that direction. In terms of the total, like I said, it's the most like manageable total on the sheet today in a sense, or most like realistic. I'm gonna lean towards the over ever so slightly. Again, it's kind of coming down to the way that the Clippers have been playing at home, and I'm looking at that from an offensive perspective. So in their last 3 games, 132, 119, 121. You could say, oh, well, the Knicks, really good defense, right? Well, they've allowed, listen to this is their last 5 games, right? 133 allowed, 130 allowed, 146 allowed, 117 allowed, 122 allowed. So yes, it's a good defense. No Mitch Robinson. I do think that impacts that a little bit. So I'm going to lean towards the over. Just, you know, I think this probably gets like 232. So a slight lean towards the over. But guys, that is going to wrap for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said, we can have bad nights. We'll have good nights. You never get too low. You never get too high. All the comments telling me to quit. It's like, okay, keep booing me because they don't boo nobodies. I tell you guys that all the time. But yeah, make sure if you did get selected for the email, email me, guybostonvideo@gmail.com. All right, guys, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.